So, Scott, what are some of the biggest challenges or developments within the prime cooking category that you've experienced over the last year at Unox?
Hi, good day, Josh. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. As a manufacturer, what we are seeing lots of in the last year or so is much more requests from chains and operators around sustainability. We're seeing a lot of requests about asking, us as a manufacturer, what we're doing now related to sustainability and also what our future plans are around sustainability. We've been doing a lot of work in the background. I think, as a manufacturer, I think we're strong. We're not perfect, but we're absolutely pushing forward in that space to include lots of work around, life cycle assessment of our equipment, the circular economy piece, the end of life piece. We're doing a lot in the background, and we've got a lot on the go. We're also investing quite heavily on training and in terms of training and education for our own team. So I think the sustainability piece is something that group operators, and chains are really focused on. I think connected to sustainability and much more about the hardware, we're seeing a lot of change around kitchen templates and around, the way kitchens are currently designed. There's obviously a squeeze on the footprint of kitchens, which we're seeing a lot of. The kitchen always gets squeezed in front of house, always gets larger. So we're seeing a lot of change around the reconfiguration of the cook line and the kitchen template. And I guess what we're seeing as a manufacturer is these groups are really trying to change from, I guess, what I would call the traditional cook line, which is a much longer cook line of horizontal cooking appliances, and we're seeing a lot of requests to go more vertical. So, that traditional cook line where the chef comes in and switches everything on first thing in the morning and it stays on all day. We're seeing a change in behaviour because, of course, leaving a pot on a stove all day bubbling away is not energy efficient, and I think people realise that. So we're seeing a lot of change around the behaviour of chefs. I think long gone are the days where everything just gets switched on and left for the day. So I think that's a real change in development. And then connected to that, in terms of the fuel, we're seeing a massive, massive change from gas to electric. Of course, I think anyone and everyone that can change is definitely changing from gas to electric. We've seen quite a reduction in sales of gas models. I know it's not always possible, but the electric is obviously, from an energy efficiency point of view and sustainability point of view, something that's really important for large groups that are measuring in those areas. And then connected to that, final piece I would say that we are seeing is a lot of information around data. I think group operators and large chains, data is their gold, in terms of measuring performance, efficiency, cost. So a lot of information around connected kitchens, around how we measure efficiencies, and it's not just single pieces of equipment. I think it's the whole kitchen. A lot of the groups are really looking to measure that. We've got examples of large groups that are using bespoke software to measure everything and connecting all of the kitchens. So I think data is super important in terms of that kitchen operation and efficiency. So I'd say that's probably the 3 or 4 kind of key pieces we're seeing as a manufacturer.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. And you mentioned the importance of the connected kitchen there. What are some of the latest technological innovations or developments within the Unox range that can help operators in this area and to reduce costs and boost efficiencies?
Yeah, I think we've got a product called Digital ID, which is our operating system. It's a system that helps operators with feedback and education. I think we're trying to change operator behaviour by steering them to use the operating system. But being able to measure and monitor the equipment is super important. Not only from operational point of view, but just from that whole energy efficiency point. The digital ID platform that we have is it's the only platform on the market that asks operators for feedback. So when you've cooked a steak, for example, it would ask you, are you happy with the colour of it? Are you happy with the bar markings on it? Are you happy with the texture? And you decide and you give that feedback. So I think that's pretty important in terms of a kind of education piece. And then through the digital ID, we can do a live video call through the oven. So I guess a bit like FaceTime, people will probably recognise FaceTime, but we can deliver online training for the operator, and we can also deliver service training through the digital ID. So I think those pieces of technology are helping us, educate the operators. I think more traditionally through the Unox UK Experience Centre, we've delivered. I checked with the service team yesterday. We've delivered over 170 training sessions to engineers, physical training. So for us, that's still important. Digital training is important, but having an engineer on site with their hands inside an oven or another piece of equipment doing proper training is really important. So we're doing a real mix of digital training and physical training.
That's great. And you mentioned obviously the training schemes. Are there any sort of newer initiatives that you're particularly proud of?
I think we're doing a lot of things. I think the connected kitchen and the data is really important. We've got one particular group that's I think more than 1,500 sites that are using that data-driven cooking platform to really deliver results and look at efficiencies and help them make decisions. So yeah, the digital ID is really, really important for us.
That's great. And how important is it for the company to continue developing AI solutions and other modern technology like the digital ID that can be integrated into prime cooking appliances?
Yeah, I think, hopefully people recognise that innovation and technology is something that's kind of in Unox DNA. I think we're pretty well known for that. So, we're always developing new products. I think when it comes to AI, we launched a product recently called Optic Cooking. And Optic Cooking is a product that uses AI. It scans the food, recognises the food. When you open the door, you put the tray in, it scans it, it launches the program, it chooses what shelf it goes on, it launches the correct program. I think that piece of AI, what we're seeing as a benefit for operators is we're seeing a lot of benefit around the consistency of cooking, which is obviously important because the correct program's launched every time. We're seeing a benefit on food waste, and food waste is really, really important for these big groups. We're seeing huge energy, time and labour saving in terms of actually just using the oven. And then I think the AI piece, the feedback we've had from people that are using it, it's really helping to, I guess, bridge the gap or shorten the gap that's that skill shortage. Because what you don't really need is, you don't need that highly leveled skill chef to operate the oven if you only need to open the door and put the tray in. Because obviously the AI helps with, the simple cooking part because it's kind of done for you. we've got two good examples of where AI and optic cooking's working. We've got a pub group that's using it and testing it and trialing it. And if you think of example of breakfasts within that pub group, you know, trays of bacon, trays of sausage, trays of eggs, etc. They're just simply opening the door and popping them in, and it's working really, really well. So I think that's a good example. I think, you know, pub brewery groups will should see some advantage to that. And then the second example we've got that's working really well with optic cooking is within bakery of supermarkets. And what we've got there is, you know, the bakery assistants or the retail assistants in that supermarket just simply open the door and put the tray of croissants or the tray of baguettes and don't need to worry about pressing any buttons, don't need to manually look inside the oven or check when something's ready. So I think AI is here to stay. I think the optic cooking part for us is something that we'll get more uptake on. But a couple of good examples from pub and brewery and from a supermarket.
That's great. And with your customer experience center, what are some of the latest sort of developments or events and initiatives you've been hosting there?
What we've been doing at the UK Experience Centre has been really around innovation days. We've been doing a lot of innovation days, and we've been doing them segment specific. So, you know, it might be hotel, it might be, you know, QSR, it might be casual dining, it might be contract catering. And we've done them in a couple of different ways. We've been doing them on our own where we're presenting Unox products. We've also done them where we've partnered with other companies, other manufacturers, where, you know, there's some sort of synergy or no conflict. And then what we've also done is try to build some solutions. So, example, we work with some food companies, we work with some packaging companies, and really try to give end users that kind of full solution. So, you know, we've got different workshops running and different innovation days. And I think, you know, taking that approach rather than, you know, a straightforward demo of a piece of kit, you know, having a bit of a round table, getting the whiteboard out, looking at some ideas, asking what's important to people and looking at that kind of innovation day has really, really worked well for us.
That's great. And you mentioned a couple of the solutions or latest developments within Unox. If there was one piece of kit or product range you would recommend to operators at the moment, which would that be and why?
I think what I would say to that would be we've had a real interest and a real good reception to Chef Top X, which is our latest combi model, but not just the model in itself, in particular to one feature or one section within the Chef Top X, which is called Air Tornado. And what Air Tornado is and allows us to deliver is it's allowing us to deliver air frying technology within the combi oven.
Okay.
And we've seen a lot of interest within Air Tornado because it's given air frying results on a commercial oven, commercial scale. I think people resonate with it because most people, I certainly have, I've got an air fryer at home, and we're used to playing around with that, and we're used to, you know, seeing the technology. What Air Tornado does is it effectively allows standard function has 5 speeds of air. Air Tornado's got speed 6 and speed 7, which increases the velocity of the air, which delivers the air frying technology. I think what we've seen a lot of is the results speaking for themselves and people saying, I didn't realize we could get this from, you know, a commercial combi oven. And it's been across lots of different sectors. We've had some real good success within stadium and venue. We've had some real good success within pub groups and also within public sector. So it's quite interesting in terms of, you know, chains of schools or chains of universities or chains of hospitals. as well as, you know, the more traditional pub groups, restaurant groups that we work with. And I think, as well as seeing really good results from air frying, what we're also getting is people or end users, operators really looking at the cost of oil, the oil management, the health and safety around oil, the environment within the kitchen, you know, all of these things. If we can get, or the feedback we're getting from operators is, if they can remove some of the traditional fryers and have this air frying within Combi, going back to my point around footprint of the kitchen template, you know, removing some equipment and sweating an asset, shall we say, using one piece of equipment for a lot more function. That's the feedback that we've got around, you know, air frying. You know, in the air fry technology, we can deliver 10 kilos of chips in 12 minutes. So, you know, it's great for volume, and that's using 10 trays. You can use one tray at a time if you want, of course, and cook on demand. But I think air frying is probably the one thing that we're seeing a lot of noise around within the Chef Top X.